I'd like to thank you for taking time to join us today. And this is called Is Change a Sinking Ship or a Sunken Treasure in the VUCA World? Today's topic is from Powering You's leadership series entitled Empowering Your Leadership in a Digital Future Through Change Management. In this leadership series, there are 4 topics: change management, coaching, emotional intelligence, and leadership. This program is normally offered in half-day, 1-day, and 2-day sessions. But today, we'd like to give you a taste of our change management program. Our speaker has over 25 years as a human resource professional, experience in both multinational and local companies. Having spent 10 years of his career in a regional role, many of his experiences in leading change covers many of the countries across Asia. He has also participated in numerous change initiatives from senior leader transitions, implementation of new processes, organization restructuring and rationalization, up to mergers, joint ventures, and acquisitions. As a consultant of Powering You, he has engaged with clients in the fields of business planning, organization development, leadership development, training. Benji has also helped senior leaders through coaching programs. And today, Benji will share with us whether or not change is indeed a sinking ship or a sunken treasure in today's VUCA world. Let us all learn together as we listen to our speaker. Everyone, let us all please welcome our speaker, Mr. Benji Garcia.
Thank you very much, June, for that kind introduction. Good evening. Thank you for joining tonight's webinar. For those who may be calling from other time zones, perhaps it's a good morning or a good afternoon. Thank you too for joining us on this particular webinar. Leading or managing change continues to be a topic of interest for a lot of business leaders, HR professionals, and generally all employees. Despite the decades of experience that organizations have had in implementing change, it's sadly the case that reports would indicate that success rate for change continues to be at a low rate, continues to be challenging. Given the interest in change management and the decades of experience that organizations have had in implementing change initiatives, practically across many organizations and industries, sadly, reports on the success rate of change continues to be a challenge for many organizations. And in today's webinar, we'd like to understand some of these challenges, and more importantly, how can we actually learn from these challenges to be able to increase our success rate when we implement change. We all know that not only change is a constant, but in fact it is accelerating due to many factors, not the least of which is the digital era that we are now in. Before we continue with this webinar, I'd like to just do a quick survey on the experience that those of you who are on this call have in terms of leading change initiatives at work. So we'll flash a answer screen to allow you to choose the most appropriate response given your experience in leading change initiatives in your respective organizations. So just click on your answer and press submit. Let's take a look at the responses that we have. We have about 50% of the attendees have responded, and it seems that we have quite a large, significant number of participants who have some experience in leading change, some with multiple initiatives, and a good number of people who have also helped or led implementing large-scale or what we call transformational change efforts. Okay, so that's good. Thank you very much for your responses. All right, in terms of our agenda, there are 4 items that I would like to cover given the limited time that we have. First, I'd like to make the case for changing how we manage change. What are the things that we need to do if we want to be able to improve the success rate of our change initiatives moving forward? Next, I'll take you through a change model that we actually use in our workshop. And the next two bullet points actually are two areas that I'd like to concentrate on in this particular webinar. As mentioned in our title is Change, a Sinking Ship or a Sunken Treasure. You'll notice that we actually selected a nautical theme for our webinar tonight. Indeed, a boat can actually be a metaphor for the organization as it tries to navigate rough seas and turbulent winds to be able to reach its destination. And given the success rate that we just talked about a while ago, having a failure rate of about 70 to 60% may not necessarily be a very acceptable uh, probability as far as business leaders are concerned if they are to continue to thrive in today's world. So how can we actually make change a sunken treasure? Before I get to that, to answer that question, let's turn to the term VUCA world that's also mentioned in the title of our webinar. VUCA is an acronym for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Perhaps some of you are already familiar with this particular term. It's actually a term that originated from the US military. It was coined after the collapse of the Soviet Union as a way of describing the environment in the world. Indeed, when we start looking at the world today, we could see elements that would relate to volatility when it comes to the speed, the magnitude of change that's happening around us. Uncertainty in the sense of predicting the outcome and predicting the future of things has become more difficult and certainly has been complex and ambiguous. This term VUCA actually found its way into the business language through the work of a futurist named Bob Johansen of the Institute of the Future. Now let's turn to how we can actually use change as a sunken treasure, how we can make it a sunken treasure. I want to focus on three elements. First of all, fundamentals here refer to the things that we need to be able to put in place when we embark on a change initiative. I'm referring to the need for a clear vision, communicated through a compelling story to the stakeholders, to the organizations, being able to agree on a common approach, and ensuring that the resources and skills needed to implement the change are important. Now, you might say this all sounds like common sense, but we also know that common sense is not necessarily common practice. What I've learned from my experience in dealing with change initiatives in a number of organizations is that it's challenging enough to actually ensure that these fundamentals are in place before you initiate change. Even more so, some of our leaders actually tend to consider these fundamentals as a so logical and common sense that they take it for granted and they go through the process quite mechanically. What is really important is to be able to understand more deeply each of the steps that need to be undertaken to make sure that change happens successfully. Communication throughout the organization, particularly with the key stakeholders of the initiative, is really important and cannot be overstated. But equally important and oftentimes missed, at least from my experience, is the need to listen to our stakeholders, the need to gather feedback from them so that we can utilize ideas that come from our stakeholders and also be able to address valid concerns that are being raised. If we're able to do this, and as we go through organization change initiatives, we are actually going to be able to create a change-ready workforce within our organization. Indeed, there is a lot of learning that can be achieved as organizations go through and reflect on what they have learned whether things have worked out well, and identifying the things that can be improved in future initiatives. And so our battle cry in our workshop is really that it's time to change how we change. The focus being that we need to be able to expand the organization's capability by creating change-ready employees. And it's only possible to do that if we are able to create change-savvy managers. And I hope in the rest of this webinar to be able to share with you some tips to be able to achieve that. The four-phase change model that we use in our webinar is actually now on the screen. And in each of the four phases, you'll notice that I've highlighted key elements that one needs to pay attention as you implement using this particular change model. I've talked a little bit about change fundamentals in phase one, and I'll talk briefly about organization and departmental readiness in the succeeding sides. In phase two, it's really going to focus on leadership and leadership accountability. And in phase three, what's really important is to be able to engage the stakeholders in the organization, recognize the early wins, the short gains that are achieved in implementing the change, and by going through that, foster change-ready employees. In phase four, we recognize that change has to be made permanent. We also need to recognize that by reflecting on the lessons learned from our change experience, we can then prepare better for the continuous change that we know is coming. In the webinar email confirmation for this webinar that you received, there's a tool, an assessment tool that you were asked, that was shared with you. I hope many of you have had a chance to actually download and accomplish that assessment tool. It's a personal assessment on readiness. If not, I hope at least you've had a chance to look over it. In the assessment tool, there's also section 2, or the interpretation section, which allows you to try to identify the strengths, your strengths, what you're good at, as far as the necessary skills needed to be able to implement change successfully. It will also help you reflect on the areas where you need to develop. Still on phase 1, using the nautical theme again, we know that a boat's captain needs to ensure that the boat is seaworthy before setting sail. Similarly, leaders of an organization need to look at the readiness of the organization as it embarks on a change initiative. In our workshop, we actually have a tool that also tries to capture this change readiness of the different stakeholders within an organization. Phase 2 is really about leadership and leadership accountability. I cannot overestimate the importance of leadership within an organization. And elements of this are really important. I'd like to pause here and ask you to answer the question on the screen. What is the one specific action or behavior that defines leadership accountability for you? So please type your answer in the chat box. Okay, execution and follow through according to Jeff. Communication, knowing your people, leading by example, setting the correct expectation according to Melissa, people management, integrity, motivation. So far, I'm receiving very good responses. I think these are all important elements when you talk about leadership in implementing change or leadership in general. Walking the talk. Yes. Are there more responses? Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts on leadership accountability. I think those are very good inputs as far as being able to demonstrate leadership accountability. And I might say that your responses actually fall fall neatly into the three bullet points that are part of phase 2. Communication. We really need to be able to communicate and reach out to the various stakeholders as far as the compelling vision, story that we would like to have. Why is it important to initiate the change? Why the project is really important? And in today's world, we have the benefit of using various social media that will enable us to actually reach the various stakeholders, not relying on only one channel, but tapping as many channels as we can. Similarly, we should be looking at the same channels to be able to gather feedback and respond to those feedback. And that's all part of really managing relationship throughout the organization. Oftentimes, from my experience, we tend to forget certain stakeholders, and that can be a cause for issues as we implement our change project. It's really important that we don't only limit our view of stakeholders as those who are directly affected by the change. Oftentimes, there are stakeholder groups that may be overlooked because they are impacted by the change rather indirectly, and we only recognize their importance later in the process. But definitely the last bullet point about role modeling, as far as leadership is concerned, is something that I cannot overemphasize, especially when we talk about behaviors that we would like to be able to inculcate, or again, from my experience, simply the use of new technology, new processes. That's really, really important for leaders to be able to set the stage by being role models themselves. Thank you for that. Definitely, as part of our leadership role, is the need to navigate resistance to change. Most change initiatives will actually encounter some form of resistance from all or any of its stakeholder groups. So anticipating where this resistance may come from and already preparing how we will be able to manage or address the causes of this resistance becomes very important for us. I'm pleased to share with you that in the email that you will be receiving within 48 hours after this webinar, we'll be also sharing an article that talks about the 10 reasons why people actually resist change, since we're not going to have enough time to cover that on this webinar. One of the tools that we can utilize in terms of managing relationship is the force field analysis. Now, many of you who have been involved in business planning are perhaps familiar with this tool. In managing relationships, we can use the same tool by understanding each of the different stakeholder groups, and given the change initiative that we have, being able to determine what are the driving forces or the things that can work in our favor to be able to drive the change that we would like, or be able to have the change seen as a positive development within those stakeholder groups. Equally important is to be able to understand and anticipate the restraining forces or the factors that might make it difficult for our stakeholders to actually support or accept the change that's being implemented. These are important to identify so that we can either find solutions to this or be able to find a way to work around these potential roadblocks within our organization. Spend a few moments to identify one idea that was most meaningful for you in this webinar and an action point that you would like to take away. This way, we can make sure that you have some value that you can take away from this particular webinar.
Well, thank you very much, Benji. And we're now ready to open the floor to questions. Again, Benji, thank you very much. And while we're waiting for them to formulate their questions, maybe we can just start the ball rolling. Benji, a question for you here would be, what would you do if you find that the organization is actually not ready for the change?
Okay. Good question. Thank you to whoever brought that up. I think that highlights the importance of being able to do some analysis on organizational readiness. It's not enough that we would just conclude that the organization is not ready. It's about understanding what aspect is actually a concern as far as the organization readiness is concerned. For example, um, sometimes the key issue within the organization is that they've had a lot of successes, and the success in itself becomes a challenge for the organization to accept change. Um, in organizations that I have been involved with that have been successful, the question that often is posed is, why change? We're doing so well. So when we understand where the readiness issue is coming from, we can better understand when we can better uh, identify the ways by which we can try to address those.
There's another question here, Benji. I think you can see that if there is no low or there is no or a low sense of urgency in an organization, what can be done to address it?
Yes, I think sense of urgency is mentioned in our model as a key element in phase one, and no less than one of the key experts on change management, John Cotter, actually highlights the importance of change, sense of urgency in his own change model. Well, there are a number of things that one can do. I'll just give you some example. Perhaps the sense of urgency is lacking because the vision has not been compelling, or it has not been told in a compelling manner. Sometimes leaders fall into the trap that if they understand the rationale for the change, then certainly all the stakeholders within the organization can understand the same. My experience tells me that it's important to be able to translate the importance of the initiative into a language that is understandable with the various stakeholders. Why it is important, the gains that they can obtain by implementing change, or in some cases, the dangers that are in the horizon should the organization fail to implement the change. If I may continue, while others are still thinking about their question, the other experience that I've had is that leaders tend to also think that they have done enough work on communication. My experience tells me that it's seldom that you can actually over communicate. You will have to actually say the same message, perhaps in a different way, throughout your organization before it registers within your stakeholders.
Thank you, Benji. Now, a question here, Benji, is what is the role of human resources in driving a change initiative across the organization?
Okay. Well, HR has a number of roles that it can play, again, depending on the nature of the initiative. But certainly one of the things that HR has been called upon to play is that of being a change catalyst, being able to create the energy within the organization to drive change or to make the organization realize the importance of a particular initiative or for a particular change that has to happen. This is a role that we can play first and foremost with the business leaders, but certainly we can also assist the rest of the leaders in actually communicating this imperative for change throughout the organization.
Now, in the event, Benji, that change efforts are in fact initiated, whether it starts from the top, it starts from HR, or it starts from any particular organization, and you begin to implement that, how do you ultimately measure the success of a change effort within a company?
Yes. At the outset, it's really important from a business standpoint that we are able to connect the change initiative with results. You do not really initiate a change just for change's sake. So oftentimes, the value of the initiative has to translate into something that is measurable from a business standpoint. Either you would like to be able to increase your top line or be able to increase the profitability of the organization. So being able to connect the change uh, that is driven by business imperative becomes the basis for determining how best to actually measure the success of the change.
All right. We have some time for a few more questions, I believe. Thank you very much, Benji. Meanwhile, Benji, how important is it? I thought I heard you talk about it earlier. How important is it that what they call often as the tone at the top? How important is that in the change initiative?
Yes, that's really, really important. As we said in one of the phases, I think it's in phase 2, we highlighted that by saying that modeling the change is particularly important. So particularly when you talk about behavior of leaders, certainly the organization will take its cue from how it sees the leaders in the organization to be able to determine how seriously they will actually embrace the change that is being driven throughout the organization. What is the most critical step in initiating cultural transformation? I think we just go back to the question that was raised. At least my opinion is that leadership really is most important, and there are a number of elements.
One
One, as mentioned a while ago,
is
is
getting the
getting the
leaders
leaders
in the
in the
organization
organization
to
to
be
be
able
able
to
to
model
model
the
the
change.
change.
Cultural
Cultural
transformation
transformation
tends
tends
to
to
be
be
about
about
behavior
behavior
because
because
this
this
is
is
what
what
can
can
be
be
observed
observed
throughout
throughout
the
the
organization.
organization.
So
So
to
to
me,
me,
it's
it's
really
really
fundamentally
fundamentally
about
about
leadership.
leadership.
If
If
you
you
have
have
leaders
leaders
that
that
are
are
trusted
trusted
by
by
their
their
employees,
employees,
it
it
makes
makes
a
a
big
big
difference
difference
to
to
be
be
able
able
to
to
drive
drive
cultural
cultural
transformation.
transformation.
I'm
I'm
not
not
saying
saying
it's
it's
gonna
gonna
make
make
it
it
easy,
easy,
but
but
that's
that's
a
a
key
key
step,
step,
as
as
Stephanie
Stephanie
was
was
asking.
asking.
Okay, another question there for you, Benji.
How
How
do
do
you
you communicate?
communicate change in a positive way that it will ensure understanding and acceptance, since the outlook of everyone may differ? This is where understanding the different stakeholders becomes really important. One of the tools I've used in my experience really um, actually groups different stakeholders, understanding where they are from the point of view of the change that you are trying to drive, because the implication of a particular initiative may vary depending on where you are standing. A change initiative may seem to be favorable by one stakeholder group, but may actually be seen as additional work, for example, by another stakeholder group. So while there may be a general message that one should be able to articulate throughout the organization, there is also the value of being able to focus on different stakeholder groups and understand what their concerns might be. And to the extent that you are able to position it in a way that highlights how it will benefit those stakeholder groups, and that will be great. But the other aspect, and again, this is where leadership becomes important, is about transparency. Because let's face it, there are change initiatives that can be painful, at least painful to some stakeholder groups. And here, being transparent about the challenge, the difficulty becomes important. Let's not sugarcoat things that are going to be difficult. I think leaders, again, this is where leadership accountability becomes important. But this is also where the behavior or of empathy among the leaders becomes important. Now, it's not important. It's not enough that that leaders are transparent, that they will actually recognize the pain that the change will actually bring to one or two stakeholder groups. it's important that they're able to demonstrate empathy by recognizing that it is indeed going to be painful for these people, and to the extent that they can work out solutions for that or to minimize the pain, that would really be helpful.
All right, thank you again, Benji. Okay, I think there's a question that's just come up. All right, there you go, Benji. How are decisions made when there's disagreement and the stakes are high?
Okay. When we talk about leadership, particularly with large-scale change, it is seldom that there's only one person making all the decisions. Oftentimes, you actually need to create a guiding coalition, if you will, to use John Cotter's term. Oftentimes, there is a leadership team that's involved in formulating and driving the change. So within that leadership team, that is where the discussions have to happen, weighing the pros and cons of the decisions that are being made. And that's where again, leadership comes to fore, being able to understand what are the risks, what are the trade-offs that one has to face in making those decisions. It's oftentimes not the case that decisions are that simple and easy, especially in today's world, where there's always a certain degree of uncertainty. As we said, if our track record for implementing change has not been remarkable, then certainly we need to be aware of the risks when we make those decisions.
All right, Benji, I think there's one more question. It's probably the last question. What are the key ingredients to make the change successful?
I think you can go back to the model that we shared a while ago. That model alone encapsulates the key ingredients that I think one needs to pay attention to. But if I were to choose one specific factor, I would go back to leadership. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that is what will be able to, that is the critical ingredient that will help make the change succeed.
So what do you think? To all of you in the crowd, in the webinar, we certainly hope that this has been a fruitful and productive and enlightening one for you. And we certainly hope that you have enjoyed it and you have learned from it as much as we have, just listening, in fact, to your questions in the level of engagement that you have manifested. So once again, good day, good evening, and thank you once again for joining us. And we hope that you can join us again in our next webinar.